All right. Lots of stuff to discuss and talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Head of scouting for Chelsea has left. Search for DOF is now on, and we need it. We need it big time. All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin. All right, welcome back to the other side of the coin, ladies and gentlemen. Look, the less we talk about yesterday's game, I think it's better. I think we all know what we need to improve on, and we've spoken about it during the watch along, and we've, of course, covered it in the review. I definitely don't want to revisit that match, and we'll keep all of that for a later date and see how the team progresses in the upcoming fixtures. Now, let's talk about some Chelsea news. The Chelsea News Blitz segment is back again, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking, this was the latest news that broke late yesterday. Scott Mclachlan has left Chelsea. This is from David Ornstein. He's the head of scouting. This is on top of the search for DOF, which we'll go to as well. This is a big issue, to be honest. I'm glad, first of all, that Scott Mclachlan has gone, because what was he doing? I'm pretty sure he was just sipping on coffee, having some great holidays in fantastic destinations, because this transfer window that just went by, I don't think our scouts had anything to do with it. It was all Thomas Tuchel led, completely run by him. And every player that we were linked with, I think it was Tuchel just having his eye on these targets and having some sort of opinion on it and thinking, let's just go and get it. And we've backed him, because we obviously didn't have, I don't know whether we didn't have enough time. I think we went through the sanctions and the ownership situation, and I don't know if the scouts were working during that time when all that mess was going through. I'm pretty sure they weren't. Look, they've never been working. They're just foul. These scouts are the worst. Okay, so Thomas Tuchel just went with what his gut feeling was, and he pretty much ran with it. But now, I don't think that can happen either. And I think Thomas Tuchel himself agrees with this. He wants to just coach. He needs help to identify talents out there. He needs help to find what is suitable for his style of football. Now, that's the first thing we need to talk about. The style of football. What is it that Thomas Tuchel wants? We need a new DOF ASAP, and we need this head of recruitment, head of scouting coming in very, very soon. And all of these different compartments, Tuchel, DOF, head of scouting, recruitment, all of these groups, and Todd Boehly, they need to sit together and have a cohesive approach towards who the upcoming player is going to be in this football club and who you want to give contracts to in the current squad as well, who you think you want to build a squad around. All of this is very, very important. And I'll tell you why. I'm not going to name names, and this is for you to decide. We don't want to get into that argument of naming names, which player fits, which player doesn't, and so on and so forth. I feel like there is a certain case of misprofiling in the current squad. I think there's certain things that Thomas Tuchel wants from certain players, but those players are probably incapable of giving those qualities or that skill set that Thomas Tuchel is looking for. So this is where you need the DOF. This is where you need the head of scout to understand what Tuchel wants, and then go and find and give that to Thomas Tuchel based on stats, based on eye test, and so on and so forth. Because, as I said, certain players right now in this squad, I don't think really understands what Thomas Tuchel is asking from them in those roles. So for me, this is highly, highly important. Chelsea are hoping to appoint a sporting director before the January transfer window. Much, much needed, because I don't want Thomas Tuchel to be running the January transfer window. Thomas Tuchel, for me, is a coach, manager. Coach the team, manage the team, give recommendations, and then whatever happens, whatever the DOF and the scouting team come up with, you can then have a say whether you want the player or not, based on, as I said, stats and so on and so forth. I don't necessarily want you to go out there and find talent, because that's not your role, Thomas Tuchel. That is not your role. Simple as that. Boehly and Clearlake are likely to appoint a new head of scouting as well as new sporting director. Fantastic. This is from Matt Law. Needs to happen. Some people are saying, what is the difference between the two? The difference between the two is the director or sporting director and the head of scouting. This is my perspective. I think the sporting director, he tries to understand the philosophy of the football club, tries to look into which players should get a contract extension in the current squad, and then has an ideology as to what type of players that they want for this football club, and not just necessarily for this current manager, but long-term vision as well. Where does the football club want to move down the track? Even when Thomas Tuchel, let's just say, I don't know, let's say 5 years down the track, he leaves, that it is in a position that whoever is the next manager that's coming in doesn't get left behind with players that they don't want, that the next manager fits into the ideology of the long-term project that the sporting director is going to create. So let's say, argument's sake, we want to be a possession-based footballing team. Whatever players we want to bring in should be able to fit whatever manager that we try and acquire who plays a possession-based football. No, I suppose, like, it wouldn't make any sense if you want to play possession-based football, but you're going to bring in a manager that plays counter-attacking football. So all of that, I think, is sporting director. Head of scouting, I feel like, is someone, once the sporting director gives all this information, goes out there and actually finds these profile of players and then recommends to the sporting director. So that's what I feel is the difference between the two. Tuchel on new sporting director. I'm not involved. I have to say, I am so happy. I had the feeling for 1.5 days I shifted back to 100% being coach, which I enjoy and where my full energy will go from now on. And it's very important for us as a football club. We don't want all his energy to be burnt out in trying to find talent out there that fits his team. And he may be wrong. This is the other thing. Not everything Thomas Tuchel will say or do will be correct. He could possibly be wrong. One of the finest examples is Klopp at Liverpool didn't want Salah. He had other players in his mind. He didn't want a few other players as well. And then their sporting director, their scouting network recommended Salah, saying, based on what you're telling us, Jurgen Klopp, this guy is the perfect fit. So sometimes the managers and the coach, like, just keep to coaching. Tell us what you need, we'll go find it. I think it's very, very important. And Thomas Tuchel, we need 3 points. We cannot be dropping any more points or on a regular basis dropping points. We need to create a consistent level of performance that yields 3 points after 3 points after 3 points, because top 4 race ain't going to be easy and we don't want to scrap to that particular race. So I want all his energy to be focused on managing to think. Chelsea's mystery midfielder, and this, what I'm just about to show you, will tie into the fact even more why we need a sporting director and head of scouting. Chelsea's mystery midfielder, do you remember Fabrizio said just before the transfer window closed that there was a mystery midfielder that we put a bid for on the final day, on deadline day, and he didn't reveal. Now he's revealed it. Chelsea's mystery midfielder they bid 50 million for was Lavia from Southampton. If you guys remember, Romeo Lavia, I think he's the guy who scored that goal against us, rejected. It just shows like the planning for midfield. And I'm not having a huge go, because I feel like first window, Thomas Tuchel, the new ownership, Top Boehly, they did very good. They got rid of a lot of players. They brought in a lot of players. But that midfield situation, I feel like should have been prioritized. It is what it is. Hopefully we target it in January. But the fact that we went for Lavia on the final day is mad. Southampton just bought Lavia from Man City for about 13 million. And we bid 50 million on the final day. That just shows, like, when you don't have a director of football, when you don't have head of scouting, it's mayhem. It's mayhem. Just do whatever you want to do, which is crazy. Yeah, it's mad. Once agreed, Reece James will sign a 6+ year contract with Chelsea. Great news. We've been covering this in the last couple of days. Reece James was on the verge of signing a new contract. Looks like it is now almost done and dusted. 6+1 year, tying him down for almost 7 years, which is incredible. But do you know what? I completely endorse it. I think it is much deserved. He is the future Chelsea captain for me. There are certain things sometimes he just needs to calm down that I didn't like yesterday. There was a kick on Antonio yesterday. He needs to cool himself down. If you want to, I've got no issues of you being gritty and you showcasing at times shithousery, but lashing out and kicking and that kind of stuff, no, because that could potentially get you red carded. And then obviously right at the end, that header backwards, which put Mendy in immense trouble. Mendy probably should have done better, but nonetheless, like that back pass didn't need to happen with his head. Like that header needed to go forward. So things like that at times, Reece James just, don't have a brain fart. Do you know what I mean? Like really try and realize what's going on. But besides that, look, for me, he's a top-notch player. I've already covered it in a couple of the videos. Number one Chelsea player right now. Attacking wise, he scores goals. Defensively is an absolute stronghold. So look, tie him down. I'm glad that teams like Real Madrid and Man City can now dream of this player. And if ever down the track, if he ever wants to go to those clubs, we should be able to yield a very, very high price for him. Reece James' new deal will be valid until June 2028. Chelsea want to include an option for further season negotiations progressing to the final stage. He's never been close to joining Real Madrid despite rumours. There you go, which is fantastic news. Okay, next up, Chelsea's new owners made agreeing new long-term contract with Reece James and Mason Mount a priority from day one. James is very close to signing a 6-year deal with the option of a 7th year. Securing James was spoken about even before the sale was complete. Further goes on to say Ben Jacobs, as with Broja's extension, there is a broader strategy at play. Chelsea want to give the younger player multi-year contract with incentive-driven clauses that reward their progression and success. So this is the reason behind these long contracts. If you are thinking, what's with these long contracts? This is why. The belief is this adds stability and provides pathways. It's common in American sport. It also protects sell-on value, which is important with certain prospects yet to break into the first team, who could still be sold on at priority profit if they don't break through. So look, it makes sense. It definitely makes sense, but at the same time, you don't want to lock up a particular player for a long time and then they don't really develop and they stall and their values keep dropping, and then all of a sudden you've locked up a player for a long time with presumably high wages and you're stuck in the mud. So you better hope that this player continues to grow, continues to develop, and continues to give you everything that you want out of him, and then for the success of this football club. James will become one of the highest earners at the club, having actually been on comparatively modest terms before compared to the others in the squad. Absolutely deserves it. I've got no issues with that. Okay, next up, ladies and gentlemen, Chelsea have flown Aubameyang to Milan to see the same specialist that fits masks for former Chelsea players Rudiger, Fabregas, Demba, and Fernando Torres. Fantastic news. Look, this is what some of the people were saying to me on live chat yesterday in Watch Along, that he could possibly feature in the Champions League match. If not, definitely for the Fulham game next up in the Premier League. We need him. We badly need him. I don't want to see again Sterling and Pulisic just up front. And if it's Sterling and Pulisic, we need engineers behind them. We're not Man City. We don't have Bernardo Silva. We don't have KDB. We don't have Phil Foden. We don't have Mahrez to play with two mobile sort of shorty strikers up front and create havoc with passing. We don't have that type of players or engineers. We need Armando Broja at the time being. If not, Aubameyang needs to come in and help out players like Sterling and Pulisic who could play behind. And players like Sterling and Pulisic needs that particular player up front to work with in tandem. So it's very important we get Aubameyang in the house immediately, because our football is not good at all at the moment. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, Spezia manager Luca Gotti reveals Chelsea asked me to play Ethan Ampadu as centre-back. They asked for it as they see Ampadu returning there in 1 year and play as centre-back in the future. We'll discuss about it again, Gotti added. Look, he's definitely very much suited as a centre-back. nonetheless, he can play his DM as well. Maybe in the future he could sort of develop into that regular DM. He plays DM for Wales, so there's no reason why he can't do that. We've seen him do that. But centre back, I'll take it. But my question is, and this is what I tweeted out. Cool, then. Why also go for Vardy for 90 million? Even if we consider SB and Silva gone, they may stay for another season. That leaves us with Koulibaly, Fofana, Chalobah, Colwell, Ampadu. And don't forget, you can also play Reece James, Kukura as RCB, LCB as well. And on top of that, just to throw a spanner into the mix, this is based on thinking we're going to play with a 3 at the back. What if we go with a 4 at the back? Then you only need 2 CBs. And we've already got so many CBs, even when you consider Silva and Azpilicueta to be gone. And this is another reason why I feel like that DOF, that head of scouting, is necessary ASAP, because 90 million for Vardy, if you're going for that, then surely you wouldn't be saying that Ampadu should be played as a CB and we are considering him to take him back next year to play as a... Then forget about this. Like, you can't have this and that and what's with all these CBs, man? We need attackers now. We badly need attackers. We need to look at attackers like Rafael Leao. We need to look into attackers like Nkunku. That's where we need to head. I think we've got enough defensive cover for the time being. And there are players like Levi Colwell that are still on loan. We need to start considering bringing in some attackers, big-time attackers, and also some midfielders, creative midfielders. And I don't know how many creative midfielders out there in the market available. This is one Frankie de Jong. If there is an opportunity to get Frankie de Jong somehow, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much wraps us up with all the Chelsea news blitz. Let me know how you feel about the Scott Mclachlan leaving, director of football, the head of scouting network. The fact that Thomas Tuchel probably should just manage and coach and not worry about all of this transfer stuff. Let me know all about that. Aubameyang, hopefully he comes back soon. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Smash the like button if you're here for the first time. Subscribe, hit the bell notification to stay in touch with all my content. Until next time. See ya.